Ripping tales together. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Story 1. I'm an only child with a single mother facing eviction. What should I do? I'm an only child, age not specified, in Illinois, deeply concerned about my single mother, who's at risk of eviction. I love her, but her recurring depression after job losses, lasting 6 to 12 months, makes things challenging. Her unemployment benefits expired, and she's applied for Supplemental Security Income, SSI, due to a work-related injury awaiting a settlement and other health issues. She works a few hours a week, if that, and relies on oxycodone, 20 milligrams, 6x daily, for pain, which I believe has led to dependency, though not abuse. She sleeps most of the day when not working, despite owning a laptop her brother bought her last year for job searches. After a recent 5-day hospital stay, I sent her numerous links for assistance programs, but she hasn't followed through, even though her limited work schedule leaves time for research. Her pain and depression are real, but I'm also struggling with my own depression and pain while pushing forward. I've told her I won't let her be homeless, but I'm firm that her cats can't move in with me due to my allergies and my dog's dominance in my studio apartment. Her cat's mess, vomit, litter boxes isn't fair to my dog, who's been the only pet here. She received a 5-day eviction notice, and I'm torn. I don't want her to be homeless, but I value my independence in my studio, despite my own financial struggles. I worry that if she moves in, she'll make no effort to find a new home, won't contribute to bills, and will mope around, as our past living situations have been toxic. I'm also scared she'll never leave once she moves in. Her free insurance was recently cut off, and her SNAP benefits dropped to about $20 a month. I've urged her to take care of herself and seek help, but she seems to drift through life. What should I do to support her while protecting my boundaries and mental health? Story 2. My mom is controlling despite me being an adult. How my parents, with a bachelor's degree and a job. Despite my independence, my mom still dictates what I should do, asking about my friends, where I hang out, and other personal details. This makes me feel like I haven't grown up, and it's starting to make adulthood feel stifling. I know she wants the best for me and my success, but her approach feels overbearing. Recently, my phone broke, and she offered to get it repaired. After it was fixed, I learned she accessed my phone and found things she disapproved of. She was visibly upset, questioning if I meant to hurt her and even threatening to withdraw family support. She apologized for invading my privacy, but the incident wouldn't have happened if she hadn't looked through my phone. I feel like she's treating me like a teenager, not an adult, and it's hard to assert myself without hurting her further. I don't want to rebel, cause more pain, or cut her out of my life. That's a last resort. I want her to respect my autonomy, but I'm unsure if I need to change first to encourage her to change. As her firstborn, what should I do to set boundaries while maintaining our relationship? Story 3. Birthday Dilemma. Should I choose a romantic getaway or a family celebration? My 26th birthday is in a couple of days, and I initially told my family I wanted a simple day at the lake with my husband and our 3 kids, ages 8, 4, and 1. Recently, I've been feeling lonely and sad, as my husband has been working extra hours, leaving me to manage the kids alone. This morning, I opened up to him about my feelings, and we had a heartfelt conversation. He revealed he's been working overtime to surprise me with an extravagant birthday trip to Turner Falls, a beautiful but not kid-friendly place. We visited there last year, and it was challenging with the kids. He suggested getting a babysitter so we could go alone, but I'm torn about leaving the kids on my birthday, as I think it might upset them, especially the older ones. I'm wondering if I should agree to the Turner Falls trip with my husband and celebrate with cake at home with the kids, or stick to the family lake day. Would kids aged 8 to 1 even notice the difference? I pour everything into my kids, but now I feel guilty, like I might be neglecting my husband, who's an amazing partner and does so much for our family. Am I being selfish for hesitating about his plan? Story 4. SD being furious that my husband sent $5,000 to his parents behind my back, ignoring our boundary. My husband's parents have a long history of lying, starting when he was around 10. They frequently claim they're moving, buying luxury items, or traveling, but these plans never materialize. They went bankrupt years ago, have no steady income, and rely on borrowing money or resources from others. For example, they've used my husband's car for months, let it break down, and asked him to pay $500 for repairs, all while claiming they're buying new BMWs or traveling to Europe in business class. These promises consistently fall through. Neither my husband nor his brothers confront their parents about the lies. They don't believe them but avoid calling them out. Recently, my father-in-law, FL, told my husband behind my back that he secured money for a Europe trip, showing tickets, though not business class, but needed $5,000 for a car because his funds from currency trading fluctuated. My husband sent the money without discussing it with me, despite our clear boundary set after the $500 car repair incident, that we'd agree on financial decisions involving his parents first. He informed me after the fact, claiming his dad always pays back the money, though repayments are slow, often taking years in small amounts. I'm furious because we're not wealthy, stress about weekly budgets, and this $5,000 came from our savings. As a stay-at-home mom, I feel disrespected, especially since my husband scrutinizes small purchases like clothes for me, saying wait till next week, but gave his parents $5,000 without a clear repayment plan. I'd rather have used that money for our daughter, like a cubby house or play gym. He dismisses my anger, calling me ridiculous and insisting his dad will repay us. His parents haven't worked in years, mooch off others, and boast about fake wealth, e.g., houses with pools, fancy cars, while borrowing money. My husband feels pity for them, but I can't get through to him. Serious conversations don't work. He just repeats, they'll pay us back, and shuts down. I feel he doesn't respect me, and I'm at a loss. Story 5. Ending my 4-year friendship with a friend who has suspected BPD to protect my mental health. I'm a 19-year-old woman struggling with whether to end my 4-year friendship with my 20-year-old friend, whom I'll call Nora, who has strongly suspected but undiagnosed borderline personality disorder, BPD. Our friendship has been intense, and I'm worried about the impact of staying or leaving. We met at 14 and 15 on VR chat during the pandemic, bonding over shared fandoms and hobbies. We formed a close online friend group, but as members grew older and drifted, Nora's suspected BPD became evident. She became frantic to keep the group together, growing emotionally unstable. I learned her sister had died by suicide years earlier, making her highly dependent on friends for emotional support. At 15 and 16, Nora's relationships destabilized due to her BPD traits. She briefly kicked me out of the group for being too political after I came out as transgender, later apologizing. Her emotional dumping and need for constant validation pushed friends away. At 16 and 17, her first suicide attempt occurred, detailed in a group chat message about losing us. I contacted her mother and Singaporean emergency services from New Zealand to intervene, and they stopped her in time. Since then, Nora has relied heavily on friends for mental health support, refusing professional help. She attempted suicide 3 more times, following a pattern: emotional dumping, resistance to therapy, and attempts as cries for help. At 17 to 18, I became her unofficial therapist due to my interest in clinical psychology, but it burned me out. She then leaned on another friend, Jaden, 20-21F. At 18, starting university, I grew distant due to schoolwork. Combined with Jaden's inability to support her, this triggered another suicide attempt, which Nora later called actually serious. She self-harmed and shared photos to elicit support, spiraling when we weren't close enough. Her most recent attempt led to a 2-week psych ward stay. Post-release, I set boundaries, refusing to act as her therapist and urging professional help. This distanced us, and she stopped talking to me. One night, she drunkenly messaged about overdosing on Ambien, benzos, and alcohol. I alerted her mother, who found her unconscious and saved her life. Nora cursed me out afterward, straining our friendship further. 5 months later, at 19, Nora reached out, apologetic after Jaden ended their friendship following a fight. She acknowledged her manipulative BPD behaviors and claimed progress in self-regulation. I gave her a second chance, believing she'd changed. Recently, however, Nora's old patterns have resurfaced. She's begging me, my friends, and my girlfriend, whom she doesn't know, for attention and using me for therapy while denying it. I now see her dependency clearly and doubt we can have a healthy friendship. I fear she'll always demand more than I can give. If I end the friendship, I know she'll likely spiral, possibly self-harming or worse. I don't want to hurt her, but I need to protect my mental health. Story 6. Considering ending a casual relationship due to his growing feelings? I'm a 21-year-old woman who's been seeing a 29-year-old man for 3 months. We agreed to be exclusive after a month, but I've been clear that my feelings won't deepen and this is temporary, as I'm going abroad for 3 months starting in September. Recently, I've noticed signs that he's developing stronger feelings, and he's partially admitted to this when I brought it up. I feel uneasy because his intentions aren't fully clear, and past experiences make me wary of guys thinking they can change how I feel despite my boundaries. Should I end the relationship now to avoid complications, or let it continue since it's only a short time until I leave? Story 7. My fiancé left me after 10 years of dating and 2 years of engagement. How do I move forward? About a month ago, my fiancé, 27F, ended our 10-year relationship, including 2 years of engagement, leaving me, 28M, completely blindsided. I chose not to beg or try to change her mind, respecting her statement that I wasn't making her happy. All I've ever wanted was her happiness. Now, I'm struggling with loneliness and a lack of direction. I quit my job because we work together, and I'm unemployed, relying on VA benefits that barely cover my needs. My life feels aimless. I'd focused entirely on her happiness and lost myself in the process. I feel like I'm back where I was 10 years ago with no clear path forward. I've been in therapy for nearly a year, but I'm unsure if it's helping. I'm job hunting, but the market is tough. I crave fulfillment and a partner who values my genuine efforts. Story 8. Letting my mom stay with me, even though it made my girlfriend uncomfortable. Indian context? I'm a 25-year-old man in a long-distance relationship with my fiancé, 24F, for over a year, having spent 4 months together in person. She comes from an abusive family background, her parents are abusive, and she has a strained, abusive relationship with her mother. To provide her a safe space, I invited her to live with me in India, where live-in relationships are taboo and often frowned upon by family and society. We agreed, prioritizing her need for a supportive environment. Before she moved in, I informed her that my mother, who has endured a long abusive marriage, might need to stay with me to escape her toxic home until I'm married. We discussed this and agreed to make it work if my mother needed to move in, living together as a family of 3. My fiancé moved in about 1.5 months ago, and things went smoothly for the first month. 2 weeks ago, my mother arrived. She didn't interfere with our relationship, and no major conflicts arose. There were minor instances where my mother's behavior caused my fiancé discomfort, but I addressed them promptly, and my mother adjusted immediately, remaining respectful and giving us space. However, my fiancé became increasingly emotionally uncomfortable. She felt unable to freely express affection or be herself, sensing a shift in our relationship dynamic. She expressed that my behavior had changed and that my love was now divided, leaving her needs unmet. Eventually, she gave me an ultimatum: either my mother stays or she does. She also expressed a desire for me to cut ties with both our families entirely, prioritizing her above all else, arguing that true love means choosing her exclusively. I couldn't abandon my mother, who needed a temporary refuge from her abusive marriage. I also didn't want to hurt my fiancé. I tried balancing both their needs, but faced with her ultimatum, I asked her to leave. Our relationship hasn't officially over, but we're at a breaking point emotionally. I feel like I've failed her, despite my efforts to provide shelter to two women I love, both with traumatic pasts and limited support systems. In the Indian context, where family obligations are significant, am I the asshole for letting my mother stay, causing my fiancé's discomfort, and potentially ending our relationship? Story 9. Wanting to distance myself from my mother due to her gossip about my boyfriend? My mother has a long history of gossiping and stirring drama in our family. She often says things to upset people, talks viciously behind their backs, and sometimes fabricates or embellishes rumors. Recently, she called to discuss Broadway shows, a shared interest we bond over. But mid-conversation, she abruptly claimed that nobody in my family likes my boyfriend because he's sarcastic and made a joke about my grandfather's city housing. My boyfriend is honest and opinionated, which isn't for everyone, but he's never been abusive or disrespectful to my family. He even helped my mother with a legal issue and her stocks when she requested, without hesitation. I haven't heard these complaints from anyone else in the family, only my mother. She even claimed my grandfather accused my boyfriend of abusing me, which is completely false and feels like a fabrication. She also said my sister is upset about my boyfriend, but my sister and I have been texting normally, and she's never raised this. Meanwhile, my father shouted in the background during the call that he likes my boyfriend and sees no issue with him. My boyfriend wants me to clear the air with my sister, believing my mother's claim about her disapproval. I'm exhausted by my mother's constant pot stirring, and it's draining. I'm unsure how to handle this. But am I wrong for wanting to stand up for my boyfriend and distance myself from my mother to avoid her drama? Story 10. Losing it and threatening divorce because my husband doesn't follow through on promises and overloads me with work? My husband and I both have full-time jobs, a large garden, an old house needing constant repairs, and a new allotment he wanted, though he only mows its grass. I'm practical and hardworking, always tackling tasks independently. When we worked the same shifts, he matched my energy, but 18 months ago, I switched jobs and now work weekends while he has regular shifts. Since then, he does minimal chores, some cleaning and laundry, which I also do, but spends weekends smoking, drinking, reading online, and listening to music, leaving most tasks to me. I used to manage gardening, decorating, and DIY when I worked part-time, but now, full-time, I'm overwhelmed. I maintain our garden, my dad's garden, 4 hours with heavy machinery, paint and decorate, e.g., the house exterior, pressure wash and seal patios, 100 square meters, hedge cut, weed, and clean, but I can't keep up. He promises to help but doesn't follow through, often saying, "Sorry, I haven't done much," when I get home. I've suggested moving to a low-maintenance house like our old one, where chores were done quickly, but he refuses, denying it's his decision despite 12 years of discussions. Yesterday, I lost it, saying I've had enough and threatening divorce. He acted unaware of my frustration, which feels dismissive. We're aging, and I'm exhausted, spending my 2 days off weekly doing chores he doesn't start. He doesn't see that his inaction piles work onto me. Story 11. Getting petty revenge on a guy who stole my cafe table? I, age not specified, M/F not specified, was at a cozy coffee shop in Austin, ready to work on freelance projects. I claimed a prime window table with good lighting and an outlet, leaving my jacket on the chair and water bottle on the table to market while I ordered an oat milk latte. When I returned, an older man, 50s, had taken my table, pushing my jacket aside and placing my bottle on the floor. He was sipping coffee, his briefcase and papers spread out. I politely said, "Sir, this is my spot. I was just getting my drink." He dismissed me, saying, "I'm sitting here now, kid. Find another table." The cafe was full, with no other tables available. The barista intervened, asking him to move, but he lied, claiming he was there first and refused. The barista shrugged, unable to enforce anything. Frustrated but strategic, I noticed his open planner detailing a big client meeting in an hour at a downtown office. While lingering near the counter, I overheard him on a call confirming the meeting. Using the company logo on his briefcase, I found his LinkedIn profile in minutes, confirming his name and job. The cafe's loyalty app allowed table reservations, so as a regular, I booked the same table for 15 minutes later, knowing he'd need to leave soon. The app notified the barista, who then told him the table was reserved and he had to move. He was furious, muttering about disrespectful kids while packing up. I casually reclaimed the table, saying, "Oh, is this free now?" "Sweet," as he stormed out. Story 12. Being accused of cheating after whispering numbers during a math test. I'm an A student in math, a straightforward high schooler involved in AP classes, student government, and co-captain of my sports team. Recently, my parents received an email from my math teacher accusing me of potentially cheating on a test. The issue? I whispered a few numbers to myself during the test, which my teacher claims weren't on other students' tests. For context, the teacher gave out 2 different versions of the test. I often whisper quietly to myself to process problems. It's a habit, not loud or disruptive. I'm devastated, broke down, and hyperventilated, worried about my reputation and future. My parents are strict, no-nonsense types, and I'm scared they won't believe me. Am I the asshole for this misunderstanding? And how can I prove to my teacher and parents that I didn't cheat? Story 13. Did I do the wrong thing by going through my friend's phone? I, age not specified, F, need advice after going through my friend Haley's phone and finding hurtful texts about me. Last summer, I was promoted to a head position at work, overseeing staff, including 2 friends, Haley and Macy, while another friend, Alex, was also promoted alongside me. This role meant more money and hours, crucial for my expensive schooling. I was part of a close group of 5 girls, including Alex, Haley, Macy, and another unnamed friend. At my birthday last summer, all but Haley canceled last minute, and soon after, I was excluded from their group chat and cut off, leaving me devastated and confused for months. Recently, I learned Alex spread lies, telling the group I said we should torture staff last summer and blaming me for her not being rehired this year. She was unreliable, often late, left early, and shared confidential info. Last week, Haley invited me to hang out but prioritized hiking and ice cream with the group, texting me at 10:30 p.m. to reschedule. I expressed feeling like her last priority, and she apologized, so I let it go. Today, while hanging out with Haley, the only friend I still talk to, she left her phone unlocked while showering. Overcome by curiosity, I searched my name in her texts, expecting to find messages from other girls. Instead, I found a text from Haley to another friend saying I'm such a gossip, she'll never forgive me, and I ruined everyone's reputation at camp. This shocked me, as I never gossiped or badmouthed them. The group believes I turned head staff against them, per Alex's lies, but staff only dislike them due to their treatment of me and Alex's poor performance. I feel guilty for invading Haley's privacy, but hurt by her betrayal. All 4 still work under me this summer. Story 14. Selling my mom's childhood teddy. So for clarification, I, 17F, and my mom, 52F. Have had bad arguments in the past and has made my life a living hell and ended up with her kicking me out after I spoke back to her after the years of abuse. So 2 weeks ago I went back to get my stuff and found my teddies to be missing. I asked her about them and she said someone came and collected them as she put them up for sale. They teddies helped me through everything and I used to take them everywhere. So when I found this out I grabbed my things and went and got her childhood teddy and sold it. Story 15. How should I approach my girlfriend about suspecting she might be cheating after she lied about her beach trip? I'm a 35-year-old man, divorced, with a good co-parenting relationship with my ex-wife. Yesterday, while I was at my ex's house caring for our sick son from 9 a.m. to 10 p.m., my girlfriend, 33F, told me she was training tennis in the morning and going to the beach in the afternoon. She didn't specify which beach or if she was with anyone, so I assumed it was one near her city. Later, I learned she went to a beach 30 kilometers away, which seemed odd since she doesn't drive and would need to take a train. What's troubling me is that her Instagram story showed a different beach, a nudist one 10 kilometers from the one she mentioned, which we've visited together before. This beach is hard to reach without a car, requiring a 2-hour trip with multiple trains and buses. I'm conflicted. Part of me hopes she used an old photo, but her vague communication and the lie about the location make me suspect she might be cheating. Story 15. Refusing to take down my bikini photo after my cousin's fiancé liked it, causing family drama? I'm a 19-year-old woman who posted a bikini photo on Instagram a few weeks ago as part of a carousel from a beach trip. It was a standard photo, me standing in the water, nothing provocative, and I've shared similar posts before without issue. Last weekend, my cousin, 26F, texted me, upset because her fiancé, who follows me, I wasn't aware, liked the post. She got mad at him, then accused me of posting thirst traps to get attention, knowing he could see it. She called it disrespectful and demanded I remove the photo. I refused, saying it's my profile, the photo is normal, and her issue is with her fiancé's actions, not mine. She escalated by telling family members, splitting opinions. Some say I should have been considerate of her relationship, while others, including my mom, support me, arguing I'm not responsible for her fiancé's behavior or her reaction. I posted the photo to feel good about myself, not to attract anyone, but now I'm being framed as the problem. Story 16. Bringing a birthday gift to my mother's dinner after she asked me to wait until she moves? I'm a 24-year-old woman, and my mother, 56F, recently had her birthday, coinciding with her move to a new apartment. Typically, I gift her flowers or jewelry, but this year, she specifically asked me not to get her anything for her birthday and to wait until she finishes buying new furniture for her apartment. She wanted us to go shopping together later to pick something for her home, and I agreed. 2 days ago, she invited me to her birthday dinner with her friends. I attended but didn't bring a gift, respecting our agreement. However, I noticed everyone else had brought gifts, which made me feel awkward. The dinner went well, but afterward, one of my mother's friends messaged me, calling me ungrateful and rude for not bringing a present. I explained my mother's request, but she insisted I was wrong. Soon after, another friend sent a similar message, doubling down on the criticism. I'm now questioning if I messed up by not bringing a gift despite our agreement. Story 17. How can I help my mom get therapy for her depression and anger issues without triggering her while protecting my siblings? I'm an 18-year-old woman living in India with my family. My mom, 42, dad, age not specified, younger brother, 16, and younger sister, 11. My mom, a mother of 3, shows signs of severe depression and anger issues, but refuses to acknowledge them, making it increasingly difficult to live with her. As the eldest sibling in a culture where moving out isn't common, I'm worried about leaving my siblings to face her outbursts if I were to move. My dad, who's a poor husband, though his issues aren't the focus, is at work from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., and my mom is calm when he's home. But when he's away, any minor comment from me or my siblings that she perceives as rude triggers explosive outbursts, screaming, throwing, and breaking things. These outbursts have been ongoing since my childhood, though they lessened after my sister's birth. Recently, they've worsened. For example, today she broke a plate, dented a bowl, broke a stool, and nearly threw my sister's lunch bag at her. My sister has a weak heart from a childhood condition, and fear causes her blood pressure to spike dangerously, she hyperventilated during this episode. My mom also shows signs of depression, tearing up easily and expressing no will to live. She thinks I hate her, which I may, as I've been her emotional and physical punching bag my whole life, and cries about it, even to my best friend, despite not being close to her. My brother and I are already depressed and suicidal from our parents' treatment, but have coping mechanisms. I'm desperate to protect my sister from ending up like us and to shield both siblings from my mom's wrath. I believe my mom needs therapy for her unhealthy behavior, but suggesting it directly will likely trigger another outburst. I try to help at home, but coping with my own trauma makes it hard. Story 18. Am I the asshole for spending money on gifts for my nieces and nephews, but not buying the specific clothes my son wants? I'm a 46-year-old woman with 3 kids, a 7-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and a 16-year-old son. My 2 sisters in the UK each have 3 kids, and my youngest daughter will soon visit them. In our culture, it's customary to send gifts like clothes and shoes when visiting family from another country, so I'm sending my daughter with these items for my nieces and nephews. After shopping for these gifts, my 14-year-old son often complains, saying, "I thought you couldn't afford item he wants, like clothing, but you spent amount on gifts, which is more. I get good value for the gifts, buying many clothes for what I spend." He frequently asks for specific items, like $40 shorts with a square and long strings, which I refuse because I think they're impractical. He argues, everyone has these, and you probably make more than most kids' parents anyway, and calls it unfair that I buy for other kids, but not what he wants. I've recently given him $25 for movies and food, spent $115 on shoes 2 months ago, and he has a brand new phone, but he still feels shortchanged. Am I the asshole for prioritizing cultural gift-giving over his specific clothing requests, and how can I address his feelings of unfairness? Story 19. Am I normal for feeling insecure about my sister-in-law's beauty and comparing myself to her? I'm a 23-year-old woman in a long-term relationship with my 24-year-old boyfriend, whom I was friends with before dating. His younger sister is objectively stunning. People stop her everywhere, ask her out, and even passport control flirted with her, delaying a line. She has a naturally perfect body, flat stomach, curvy in all the right places, without working out. I don't consider myself ugly, but I carry weight in my face, feel unphotogenic, and struggle with my body image since medical issues make gym visits hard. I'm not overweight, more like an hourglass with extra weight. My thin hair requires extensions, adding to my insecurities. If she were a friend or coworker, I wouldn't care, but as my boyfriend's sister, she's practically family, and I'll likely be around her forever if I stay with him. We're often in family photos together, and I feel I look awful next to her. They're from a warm country, keeping it vague for privacy, and we vacation there often, where it's all bikinis and no makeup. Standing beside her, being introduced to his friends, or appearing in photos makes me so insecure I sometimes avoid being near her. For example, my boyfriend once posted his sister on his Instagram story, and his friends sent messages like, "Congrats, damn," assuming she was his girlfriend. He clarified she's his sister, but when he posted me, his first girlfriend, there were no such comments. I didn't expect reactions, but the contrast highlighted how others see our differences, amplifying my insecurity. I know this sounds irrational, but is it normal to feel this way, or am I overreacting? Story 20. How do I talk to my mom about my kids' growing resentment toward her without causing a rift? I'm a 35-year-old man with a 15-year-old son and an 11-year-old daughter. My mom, 61F, has a strict parenting style, rooted in the children should be seen, not heard mindset, emphasizing discipline, hard work, and initiative. Growing up, I had a terrible relationship with my maternal grandmother, filled with mutual dislike and no positive memories, and I vowed my kids wouldn't have that with my mom. I instill similar values in my kids as my mom did in me, but with gentler methods, and they're respectful, well regarded by adults, and stand out positively among peers. When my kids were younger, they adored their grandmother, calling her daily and loving visits to her house. But around ages 9 to 10, issues emerged. My son began distancing himself, reducing calls and visits, and now at 15, he's polite but avoids a deeper relationship with her, unlike with his other grandparents. His complaints mirrored our home discussions about hard work and doing tasks right, so I initially dismissed them, knowing my mom's demanding nature. However, his withdrawal became clear over time. Now my daughter is showing similar signs, but she's more vocal. She's been at my mom's for a month-long cheerleading camp, but calls almost daily, wanting to come home. My wife and father-in-law have noticed issues, like my mom arguing with her over petty matters or preventing phone calls to us, despite my repeated requests to allow them. Today, I'm picking up my daughter and need to address this with my mom. I love her, but I won't let my kids endure the toxic relationship I had with my grandmother. If my mom doesn't change, I'm prepared to limit her unsupervised access to my kids, requiring my or my wife's presence. How do I approach this conversation to express my concerns, protect my kids, and maintain our relationship, especially in the Indian context where family ties are strong? Story 21. How do I navigate being in love with my best friend who's in a relationship without losing her? I'm age and gender not specified. Deeply in love with my best friend. Gender not specified. Assumed F from context. Of 2 years, and I'm struggling to cope. We've grown incredibly close, spending nearly every day together, lunch breaks, movies, events, shopping, movie nights, and even have each other's spare keys for emergencies. She calls me her very best friend, and I feel so comfortable with her, like family. Recently, she shared WhatsApp screenshots of a conversation where she told another friend she's more than happy with her boyfriend, Ben, and has no interest in someone else. Reading this hit me like a shock, making me feel sick, and I couldn't respond to her texts or calls for days, including about her exams. Yesterday, she asked if something was wrong because of my silence. I admitted I was struggling, vaguely saying feelings happened without confessing my love. She responded, "That sucks," and mentioned she considered stopping by for lunch, but didn't because she wasn't sure I was home. I work from home near her workplace. I apologized, saying I'd have loved to see her, but she just said I didn't know, and the conversation ended. I'm torn. I can't keep being just friends with someone I love, watching her be happy with someone else, but losing her friendship would devastate me, as she's my only close connection. Complicating things, I stopped taking my antidepressant a few weeks ago because it made me apathetic, suppressing emotions like joy or sadness, which I hated. Now, my intense feelings for her are overwhelming, and I'm considering resuming the medication to cope, though I resent that option. I don't know how to move forward, whether to confess, stay friends, or distance myself, and I'm desperate for advice on handling my feelings and preserving our bond, especially in the Indian context where close friendships are deeply valued. Story 22, canceling my wedding over a Reddit comment, and how can I reconsider having a wedding? I'm age and gender not specified, assumed F from context, a low-income bride-to-be planning a very inexpensive wedding with my fiancé. I posted on Reddit to choose between 2 bridal outfits, each costing about $30 on Amazon, as my budget for something special to wear was $50. Many people gave feedback, but one commenter said both outfits looked trash and cheap. This felt like a punch to the gut, triggering intense shame about trying to have a special day on such a tight budget. I cried a lot, feeling my dream wedding, which I'd been excited about for years, was ruined. I decided to cancel the wedding and opt for a quick courthouse ceremony instead. The commenter later responded, saying it's not about what I wear but the love we share, which made me feel better about skipping the wedding, reinforcing that every day with my fiancé is special. My fiancé supports the courthouse plan, though our family isn't thrilled but says they understand. I'm now questioning if I overreacted to the comment and want advice on how to change my mind back to wanting a wedding if that's the case, especially in the Indian context where weddings are significant cultural events.